What's up, guys? John here. Los Angeles is erupting into chaos.
Los Angeles bracing tonight after sweeping immigration raids sparked protests and clashes.
In major cities across the country, protests erupt.
700 Marines are now on their way to Los Angeles.
The Apple Store getting completely destroyed, as well as many other stores, streets. It's getting pretty concerning out there. And I think what we're going to be walking into is a further escalation of the exodus we've witnessed in California in 2020.
U.S. Census data shows from mid-2020 to mid-2021, the population of neighboring Los Angeles County dropped by 159,000 people.
More and more business owners, people of California, everyday employees and entrepreneurs are going to be leaving that state because California no longer represents beauty, it represents uncertainty. People don't know what's going to happen next. But one thing I can promise you will happen next is the cost of living will only explode as the insurance crisis, it really just gets a hell of a lot worse. Well, if you were State Farm Insurance and you saw what was happening with this riot situation, what would you do? You would probably increase rates further. And they just increased rates 2 weeks ago, 17%, and then a couple days after that, an additional 11%. Then they got an additional increase, and the riots just happened.
People living in high-risk fire areas like unincorporated Escondido will be soon having to pay more for their insurance rates.
People are going to get priced out of their homes. And where are they going to go, right? I think we're going to see this huge change unfolding in the economy and in the world where people are going to be going to affordability. Like, for example, this home right here. This property we just acquired 4 or 5 months ago for $45,000. Spent about $30,000 on the renovation, full driveway, right? Just doing that driveway in California alone would have been probably 50 or more, right? 50, 60 grand. But we did the driveway, the roof was 6 grand, the windows were a little more than 3 grand, and then we did the interior. We're all in for about $30,000, including home price about 75, maybe 80 grand on this house. And it'll rent easily at $1,400 a month. And it'll be a great deal for the tenant. And look at this. Look at this living room. Right? Obviously, we're gonna clean all this out. Floors down, cottage cream walls, white trim, nice kitchen cabinets. We're putting the countertops in, high quality. Countertops in will be going in tomorrow. And then you got another bedroom here. So you got one bedroom, second bedroom here. And then bathroom, nice tiled up shower. Look nice, right? $1,400 a month. But when you look at what's happening in LA and what I think is coming next, it becomes obvious that this is what's going to be coming. This is coming from someone that I sold a small multifamily property that I developed with the team in 2021. And I said at that time when we sold it, that California's best days are behind us. There's going to be more uncertainty for landlords. The costs are only going to continue to go up. And it's just going to become a really hard game to win being a landlord in that state. Unless you have a couple $100 million and a lot of political connections and you're really positioned. I wasn't, right? So for me, it just didn't make sense. And leaving was the right move. And I think that the same story remains true today, which is we're going to see this huge push where the government's going to say, we need to protect tenants. And that's going to continue to grow more and more. But it's not just protecting tenants. They're going to say the same things about employees. Look at what they're doing with hotel employees, saying that they need to make $20 per hour, right? Everything is going to be about protecting and about the greater good. But what that really means is property owners, business owners, and landlords have less authority and control over their properties. Now, if they own a property that they think is worth $1 million, and that place is paid off, and they rent it out, and that tenant doesn't pay, and the state of California basically now controls that property, for for that same price here, you could buy 12, 13, 14 houses. There's a lot less risk, and you make a hell of a lot more money. And so my bet was the move is to leave California, which I think was the smart move. And I think more people are going to be forced to do this, and they're going to be doing this from a different perspective. They're not going to be able to find a job that will offset the cost of living in California in the months and years to come. Because for you to buy an entry-level home in LA right now, you're talking 800 grand plus. At these interest rates where insurance is right now, 20% down, if you had it. If you had, call it 150 grand to put down on a house, you know, near 200 grand put down on a house, you would need some reserves. So you would need $250,000 more liquid, right? How many people have that? How many people have that type of money where they can go ahead and do it? Not many people. And so if they don't have it, or if they barely have it, and then insurance keeps going up and keeps getting more and more and more expensive, people continue to get priced out. But if you bought that home with these interest rates, you're probably looking at 6-7 grand a month on just the monthly payment. Then you have upkeep, maintenance, cost of living, food, utility bills. It's expensive, right? Very expensive. So if you're an employer, are you gonna pay that? No, you're not gonna. The only way you would be able to pay an employee in California 150, 200 grand a year, that employee has to be bringing in 7, 8, 900, $1 million in revenue to the business. Because the employer has to pay themselves, they have to pay for the product which they're selling, the office, the lease, the insurance, they have to pay taxes to the state of California. They start factoring in all their costs. If they're spending 200 on that employee and pulling out 400, they're losing money. It wouldn't make sense to do the hire. And that's the world that California is in right now. They're in a world where a small business can't survive and government dependence is only gonna grow, right? So the more that the world kind of flips upside down in California, the better for, you know, the top 1%. And it's unfortunate because LA was a beautiful place for all people, right? It was very just diverse. It was an awesome spot, it really was. You didn't have to be a millionaire to live there. Now you do. So what I think is gonna unfold here next couple of years, the job opportunities are gonna continue to get fewer and further between, and people aren't gonna be able to afford to live there. They're gonna relocate to where they can afford to live, and we're gonna see a real shakeup in that real estate market. And it's gonna be also in large part because of insurance. Insurance is gonna make things really challenging. Even Jerome Powell came out saying certain parts of the country, it will become very problematic just to get a mortgage or insurance in the coming decade.
If you fast forward 10 or 15 years, there are going to be regions of the country where you can't get a mortgage, there won't be ATMs, there won't, you know, the banks won't have branches and things like that.
I think California is probably on that radar, right? But look at a house like this. Look at that house with the flowers out front, how well maintained, beautiful that property is. That property on the open market, if they were to list it, it might be worth maybe $140,000, $150,000. California, that's like 1.5, right? In LA, rather, to be specific. All these homes, look at this. If you were anywhere else in the country, all these homes would be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. There's no abandoned cars in the street, people smoking outside, drinking outside. You know, it's just a nice, quiet, safe suburban neighborhood. That's why we have 6 homes here in this specific neighborhood. We have 6 properties. All of them look beautiful. They all look stunning. Look at this. Beautiful house. I showed this one last week, and now it's basically done. You know, we have some finishing touches inside, but new windows. Look at that picture window, beautiful. New roof. Some concrete work here, and last I was here, they were laying the floors. They had to jack up the garage. Actually, still working here. You get all this out, cleaning up this. Right there. How are you, sir? Hey. Very well, thanks. So getting all that squared up. We'll get this backyard cleaned up, and let's see the inside. Cool. So the floors are in. We got the fan going, everything dried. Floors look really nice. But look at this. Looks really nice. Bedroom. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, how you doing today?
Good. Looks great. So, And then there's a third bedroom up here, all the way up top. So the difference between this one and the other house is this has 3 bedrooms and the other house has 2. So yeah, I mean, when you're looking at this and you kind of see what you get and you start seeing where this is all going, I think where it's going is people are going to be in the short term, the next couple of years, leaving places like LA, and it's going to be harder to sell these homes because there's no longer like that step up buyer. In LA, it was like kind of that market where, hey, look, you buy a house for $700,000, $1 million, and then 3, 4, 5 years later, you step up, you buy that next nice house, and then a new buyer comes in, that first time buyer, and buys it. And so like everyone was stepping up. Now people don't want to sell, and if they don't want to sell, it's only going to be those that have to sell. And I think that's going to be done mainly by the job market getting worse, insurance getting worse, the cost of living getting worse.
Right now, the largest insurer in California is trying to raise insurance rates by an average of 22%.
So people are getting forced out and there's no buyers to absorb that inventory. Well, what does that mean? It means that there's going to be some contraction on pricing, right? We're going to start seeing more price reductions. So that's what I think is going to be happening. But then I saw this really interesting post about the purchasing power of USD. So the dollar apparently has lost 9% of its purchasing power in 2025 alone. So we just basically hit the 6-month period. 6-month period of 2025, it lost 9%. If that continues the rest of the year, that'll be an 18% loss in value of the purchasing power. So let's say you live in LA and you're buying, you're earning $100,000 a year. Your purchase power is at $82,000 at the end of this year. But insurance, taxes, everything else has just exploded, right? How does that make sense? The same thing with building materials.
All your screws, nails, metal fasteners for lumber, all of that's going to see a price increase.
Same thing with all of this stuff. Like I tell our clients all the time, like we buy a house, we're not doing Mickey Mouse work. Anything that we think needs to be done in the next 2-3 years, we're doing it now because the cost will only go up like everything else. Rather than doing a roof repair for $2,500, I'd rather replace the roof for $55, right? Like this is, we don't have to think about it. We have a 30-year warranty on labor and shingles, but like this is what I'm saying is going to be unfolding is the costs are going to keep going up and the cost of pre-existing home inventory in affordable markets will become more in demand. It'll be from that, from the step down buyer, not the step up buyer, the step down buyer, the first time buyer, the retirees that are in trouble. There's tens of millions of them. And the institutional investors that are looking for a yield on their capital that can meet or exceed inflation and meet or exceed the dollar erosion. Now, there's only a few markets that that you can do that. The thing is, like, if it's kind of fascinating. Like I'm in Cleveland. I came out here 6 months ago and relocated my family, and we've been acquiring properties aggressively. And we have some great investors and an incredible team. We have like about 25 or so contractors. Well, 2 main GCs and about 23 subs. And then we have, property management. We have everything kind of like in-house. But we have a pretty substantial team, maybe 40 people, all in all. And when you kind of look at this picture of what we've built, it's fascinating. Like we're the 3rd largest advertiser in the city. Billboards everywhere, all downtown, the west side, the east side, everywhere in between. There's a Reddit thread that a friend, well, he was started as a SFI client, became kind of like friends. He sent me a text. He's like, hey, look, there's this Reddit thread that was made about you, and the title is "Somebody Get This Man Out of Cleveland," and it was like a picture of all my billboards. And I was reading the comments, my wife over dinner, and I was laughing so hard. I was in tears laughing because there's over 1,000 people that were talking about this, that were engaged. 1,000 people coming after me for advertising, for how we were going about it. Because when I make up my mind about what I think is going to happen, I'm going all in, and I think this play, this affordability bet, is the safest one there is in this economy. And so we bought a bunch of houses, our investors, everybody, and we're buying more every single day. And I think we're going to look back in a year, 2 years, and be like, yeah, purchasing power got eroded on the dollar, cost of living exploded, inflation was not transitory, like Janet Yellen said, and the rich are only going to get richer, and buying all these affordable properties, you know, enriched our investors in a really, really, really big way. And that's my bet. That's what I think is going to happen. And I've been having a hell of a lot of fun out here. Like, the quality of living out here, by the way, is awesome. So I have 2 sons, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and my wife. We've been married 14, almost 15 years, like a long time, and it's been incredible. Amazing wife. But like, you start to look at all this stuff, you're like, oh, you end up buying properties. We relocated here. We have a way better quality of life, way lower cost of living. We can make money investing, and it's way more stable than what we would get in any other American city, especially LA. A lot of families are going to be like, hey, look, that sounds pretty exciting to me. I can make 70, 80 grand a year rather than living on food stamps in LA. I could come and buy a house. That's what we're going to see. Everybody, except it's not going to be like 10 or 20. It's going to be millions of people in the future chasing affordability. And when builders can't build these pre-existing homes for anywhere near what we're buying them for, who wins that game? The guy or girl with the lowest entry cost. And we're buying it for 60, 70, 80 grand. And if they were to come in and try to build it, they're in it for 250. We win all day long. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this entire situation. If you'd like to learn more about what we're doing or invest, I'll kind of give you like a rough rundown of like how we work. So what we do is we find the property, and we're looking in specific neighborhoods. Cleveland's very street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood. So like every morning between 6 and 9 a.m., I'm driving houses and pre-selecting ones that we want to take the next round of due diligence on, interior walkthrough, and then we'll bring a contractor. Once we kind of go through all that, then it will go to the next phase, then we'll make an offer. So how we work is we find the deal, get the offer accepted, the investor will own the property 100% in their own name or entity. Our construction crew will facilitate the renovations. After that, then we will assist on the tenant placement. We have a lady that works directly with the housing authority that pre-selects the tenants. So we're getting these properties rented right around 85 to 90% of completion of the property. So we're already showing it as it's completed, Section 8 inspection scheduled. As that happens, then we pass it, tenants placed. Then we offer the ongoing property management services. So that's what we do. That's basically the entire model. But what we're looking for are really, really, really easygoing clients that have the capacity to not just like buy 1 or 2, but where they do the first one, have a great experience, second one, third one, fourth one, and they can just continue to buy. And so what we're looking for is a smaller pool of clients with a higher net worth. So that way it's just logistically a lot easier on our end. So before it was 100K or more, preferably if you have, $500,000, leave 500K to $1 million liquid, then click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call, and I'll catch you next video.